Hi, my name is Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Khleif, and I'm thrilled you're here. And I know you're going to enjoy the wonderful lady I'm interviewing today. Her name is RAYNA, and she's the CEO of Love Apartments. She's in over 750 units in the apartment front, but also has done lots of other stuff, redevelopment, retail, and lots of other commercial real estate activities. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Welcome to the show, RAYNA.
Thank you so much, Rod. I'm very honored to be with you.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Well, why don't we start with having you do a much better job of your intro than I just did and give us a little background as to your real estate journey and, kind of a 50,000 foot overview of why real estate and kind of bring us current, if you would.
That's a wonderful question. 24 years ago, I started selling residential real estate in Southern California. And my first house I sold was $80,000.
Wow.
And very quickly, I realized that I really didn't like to talk a lot about kitchens and bathrooms with my buyers. And I wanted to go into the commercial field. And I started with fix and flips, like I suppose a lot of people do.
Sure.
And I did over 300 fix and flips. And then I started looking at acquiring 2 and 4 and 8 and 10 units. And that was the beginning of looking at multifamily and apartments and economy of scale and how much you can really create generational wealth. Mm-hmm. I don't regret it ever. I think it's the best field I have discovered in real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, did you do this all yourself? Did you do this with someone else? Was it just a team of one until you got into the larger commercial multifamily? Or I'm assuming you've got a team now, or give me a little background on the whole team dynamic. If you have partners, team members, employees. Yeah. Talk about that.
I started first with my husband and my little bitty daughter. She was 6 years old when she started working in our office. She started answering phone calls and making copies and sending faxes. Back 20 years ago, we used to send faxes.
That's fun. Yeah.
I don't think we send a lot of faxes today, but we started with that and quickly we developed a team currently that without them, really, I could not achieve what we have achieved. And working very, very hard with the right people. We are only about 5 people currently on the executive team, not considering the ground
right, not the staff on site. Right. Okay. What role do you play on the team? Are you the person that puts the deals together, the person that underwrites them? What role do you now enjoy in the larger multifamily is really what I'm talking about.
My main role currently, Rod, is putting the deals together and do the initial underwriting, but then the underwriters and the analysts on the team put the final touches to all the numbers and all crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But I am the one that puts the whole deal together with the negotiations, with the contact, with being in touch with every piece of the deal.
Sure. So, knowing what you know now, you've started flipping, you flipped 300 houses. That's a lot. And 80,000 for a property in Southern California. My God, if you'd only bought 100 of those, and kept them.
That's right. That's right.
You'd be on the back of your yacht right now. So let me ask you
Absolutely.
this. Knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently? Or, if you went back and told 18-year-old RAYNA something or 25-year-old RAYNA something, By the way, your comment about faxes, I remember when faxes didn't exist and they were just coming to be, because I had a friend that was selling fax machines. He's like, dude, we can send stuff over the wire. You can send a document. I'm like, oh, that'll never get big. And of course it did. And now it's passe. It's like, dinosaur age. Yeah. That's how old I am too. But if you could go back and tell your younger self something, is there anything you might do differently? I'm just curious.
I would have loved to have gone into multifamily, Rod, from the get-go, from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I would have had 10,000 doors by now. Yeah. That's what I would have told my 18-year-old RAYNA.
Yeah. And I asked that question because that's normally the answer. And I want my listeners to hear it from other people besides me. Go bigger as quickly as you can, because all the big operators that I have on say that. Now, let me ask you this. For someone just starting out that I have a lot of listeners that have not taken action yet. And I tell you, I think there's incredible opportunity coming in our space. I think economically we're headed for some pain in this country. I just saw a headline that there are 20 million families that are behind on their utility bill. 20 million households. Wow. I was shocked. That was just in the headline. It was just in the Fox News this last weekend. So I think we're headed for some pain in this country. But that said, I think there's opportunity, because with crisis comes opportunity. And so, for someone that hasn't taken action in real estate yet, what suggestions might you have for someone that's just starting out, for example?
I would say find the right mentor, the right people that can help you make this step, the first step, that you can gain confidence, that you can start believing in yourself. Okay, I can buy 10 units. I can buy 50 units, maybe. Mm-hmm. It depends on how big you can be. You can be as big as you want to be, really.
Sure. It's all mindset, really. You just have to take action.
Mindset.
You broke up for a moment. I think you said find a mentor. Is that what I heard you say? I wasn't sure.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's what I thought. So let me ask you this. In your career, I'm sure you had lots of aha moments. Where you say to yourself, "Okay, now I get it." Any big ones come to mind? Any big epiphany moments that you said to yourself, "Okay, I got the message," kind of a thing. Anything like that?
One of the biggest epiphanies, Rod, to me was that I was to get out of the day-to-day operations of the business and work on the business versus in the business. Yeah. It might sound like a little cliche, but it's not really. No, because I used to want to get all my hands dirty and go and check on everything and micromanage. And I'm learning now to delegate and let other people do that, and myself focusing on growing the business.
Yeah, no, it's super important.
That's one of my greats.
Yeah, super important. That's a real big one. And you have to step back and do that. In fact, we've implemented the EOS system from this book, Traction. And it's an operating system for a business. Highly recommended, by the way. I suggested it to all of the members of my mastermind. I host a mastermind of some of the largest operators in the country. It's about 16 billion in assets in that group. And it's called the Multifamily Boardroom. And we meet 3 times a year. And I suggested it to them, and almost all of them use it in their organizations, because it really helps give you clarity. So I would encourage you to
get it. I would get it immediately when we get off this podcast.
All right. I think you'll be glad you did if you do. Well, let me ask you this. You're a dynamic woman. Where do you get your drive? What makes you jump out of bed in the morning?
I love people, Rod. And I believe that every day I can change a little bit of the life of every person I touch. Right. Touching people, I believe, is way bigger than making money. Way bigger. Yeah. It's way bigger than even sometimes our human comprehension, because people can be impacted in a way where you don't know, maybe 10 years from now, that you made an impact. And people, I love people, Rod. It's all about people. I honestly believe that it's about the people we touch every single day.
You know, I sensed that about you the minute I met you. And to those of you that don't know, this is our third attempt at this podcast because we had some trouble with the audio. And I don't think I've ever done that for anybody before. And I did it for RAYNA because I loved her energy and I wanted to have you on the show. Well, likewise. And that's why, you know, I wanted to, you know, make sure that we made this happen because, you know, not only do you, you know, are you a huge success, but you're also a beautiful energy. So let me ask you this, you know, what do you think is the most challenging part of what you do?
I believe the most challenging part of what I do is people again. People can challenge you to a point where you are not yourself. And I have learned to control that very, very strongly, but I still sometimes feel that I have to step back and say, this is not worth it. My husband used to say, who passed away, is this of any eternal consequence? And if it's not, why are you so upset? Yeah. Is that going to change your eternal destiny that so-and-so did so-and-so?
Right.
And my answer would always be no. Right. No, they're not.
Right.
And that's what I am learning it every day, Rod. I haven't mastered that art yet, but I am learning every day. I am getting better every day.
We are all works in progress, are we not?
Yes, we are.
Until we're no longer here. We are working on us until we're no longer here. And if you stop working on yourself, where you plateau, you're actually dying at that point. If you're not growing, you're dying. You need to be consistently growing.
Absolutely.
So what is your definition of success, RAYNA?
My definition of success would be at the end of your life, whether you're 100 or 120 years old, when you have done everything you wanted to do, you look back and you say, I really fulfilled my purpose. I discovered that purpose when I was 20, 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter. If you discover your purpose at 60, you still have plenty of time. Yeah. And I discovered my purpose, and this is what I have accomplished. I have accomplished my purpose in life. And for many people, that could be $100 trillion. For others, could be a wonderful relationships with your spouse, with your children, grandchildren. And really, if you measure only your success with money, you're limiting yourself to so much.
I couldn't agree more. You know, like you can see behind me on the wall here, there's some of the hundreds of thank you cards from people whose lives have been impacted. The whole wall is covered behind me from whose people, and I live for that. You know, I live for I think it's the only love you fail to get is the love you fail to give. And you know, whatever you want, you give and you get. You know, so in this business, what sorts of people should someone align themselves with to be a success in the multifamily business? You know, what are your thoughts about that question?
I personally think that you have to be very careful who you align yourself with. That person has to have integrity, first of all, has to be loyal, has to be trustworthy and dedicated. That this is not just a side gig. Maybe if it would happen, it would happen. That this is something that they have devoted their life and their passion to.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Integrity, loyal, and just an incredible work ethic because they're passionate about what they're doing. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, those are the ultimate people to align with in any organization for sure. What do you think is some of the best advice you've ever received, RAYNA? And I know I didn't prepare you for any of these questions, so you're very quick on your feet. You're doing great. So what do you think is some of the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received would be probably from my late husband, who was my greatest fan, Rod. And He was the wind beneath my wings.
Oh.
And he would always say, you can do anything you want to do. You just have to slow down sometimes. You're too fast.
Yeah.
You're too fast. You're going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Focus. Those were his words, Rod. Focus. Focus. Please focus.
That's funny.
And I think that's the greatest thing.
Nice. So let me ask you this. Did you have any early failures that may have contributed to later to success? You know, we all have setbacks in this business and any business, honestly, but any notable, I call them seminars, I never call them failures, any notable seminars that you had in your journey here, that anything come to mind when I ask that question, that you know, you learned from or became better from?
Yes, absolutely. I overpaid for a 6-unit complex in Pasadena, California, and I paid a high price. I had to bring money to the table when I sold it, and it was very painful, very, very painful. And I learned that I don't think ever since I have overpaid for a property because I wanted this property. This emotional attachment to properties, to me, is no longer something positive because as an investor, you're not supposed to be emotionally attached to any property.
No.
So this emotional attachment I had to break, and it cost me a lot.
Yeah, guys, you can get caught up emotionally. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Please finish your thought. Sorry.
It was very discouraging.
Yes.
It was, I had to sit and cry over what happened. And I could be a big crybaby sometimes. And yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, we've all had it happen. And you know, I promise I have you beat on the seminar front as it relates to setbacks in life. But, you know, so do you have any favorite stories from your real estate career? Any funny, having a cocktail story that you tell about something that happened? You know, I've got some really funny landlord tenant stories, but I don't know if you've got any funny stories that come to mind from your career so far.
Absolutely. I probably have a lot. Let me think for a moment. Landlord tenant stories are, to me, the funniest because we've had tenants that their grandmas and great grandmas passed several times, you know, like how many can you have and how many can pass away at the same time? How many do you have at the end of the day? You should have only 2, right? One on mother, one on father's side. There is another very, very funny story. The first house I sold for $80,000 that I mentioned earlier, this gentleman had a 485 FICO, and I was able to raise his FICO to almost 600. That's how I got him the house.
Wow.
And it was very funny because he himself didn't believe that he would ever own a home with 485 FICO.
Sure.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, I
had to convince him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's funny or just very, very nice. Wonderful that you were able to make that happen. You know, let me ask you this. What, if anything, did you have to give up or sacrifice for your success along this journey to get to where you are today?
I had to give up probably precious time with my daughter. That she had to sleep in my office under my desk.
Wow. And
we made a kids' room where she had the cartoon videos there, and she practically lived in my office. So I had to sacrifice that. Yeah. I had to sacrifice probably time with my husband, time with friends.
Sure.
I had to sacrifice not being able to do anything I wanted to do at any time.
Right.
Being disciplined, the big D word that many people don't like.
Right.
I think discipline is the key to our success, and how much we want to really influence people is by showing them that we are very disciplined people.
Yep. No, that's really, really good advice. In fact, I just heard there's a big guy in the news called Andrew Tate. Just got debunked from social media. You wouldn't know who it is, but he said, it's never about motivation. It's about discipline. And I talk about motivation, but that really resonated with me because you're right. It's really more about discipline because the motivation won't be there forever. It doesn't stay with you. But let me ask you this. What do you think is your unique skill set or superpower that has helped you the most in your success? I think I know the answer, but I'm just curious what you're going to tell me.
I think my superpower is having this love and passion about people.
Yeah.
And people can feel that.
Yeah.
Anybody that encounters me knows that right off the bat. I don't need to mention it. I don't need to say it. They just need to be there.
Yep. That's what I expect you to say, and I couldn't agree more. So if you could give just one piece of advice to my listeners, knowing that they're aspiring, some have some multifamily already, small stuff, maybe some larger stuff. If you could give one piece of advice to them, what might you say?
I would be like Winston Churchill delivering his final speech at the Oxford graduating class of, I believe, 1942. He was late about 25 minutes. Everybody waited and waited and waited for him. He was limping a little bit, right? And he limped up to the stage. And the only thing he said is never, never, never,
ever give up.
Give up. And he left the stage.
Look what's on my desk.
I love it.
Never, ever give up. Winston Churchill.
Rod,
I'm showing a paperweight. I'm showing a paperweight for those of you listening that's on my desk that says never, ever give up. So I knew that's where she was going with that one. Winston Churchill has some awesome quotes. Awesome like one of them, if you're going through hell, keep going, Now if you don't know who he
never turn back.
That's right. If you don't know who he is, now he's the one that, was in charge of Britain during World War II, and they were getting bombed by the Nazis and just getting beat to death. And he through his radio broadcasts rallied the British people to just stay positive and everything else. He was a wonderful leader, and he's got some incredible quotes. Yeah.
Incredible leader.
Do you have so do you have any other quotes that you love? Any other quotes that come to mind, from famous people or people that you admire?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the most admired people and deity is Jesus Christ for me.
Of course.
And everything he says, I absolutely admire. And one of my most favorite is treat others as you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And you could never go wrong with that. You could never go, even when people mistreat you, you're still planting seeds that are seeds of goodness.
Yeah. Well, you exemplify that one. I wish I could say the same. But you absolutely exemplify that one. So let me ask you this: what do you think are some? Well, it's very true. That's
so special coming from you.
Well, I that's not hyperbole. I say it with I totally mean it. So let me ask you this: what are some important questions that you think everyone should ask themselves? Either from time to time or consistently.
I believe the most important question you can ask yourself consistently is, am I doing this just because I want to get money? Or am I doing this because I want to influence people for the goodness that I would bring into their world? And if it's just for money, you can go do anything for money. You can do anything.
Yeah.
If you believe in yourself, you can be the CEO of JP Morgan, Bank of America, do anything you can do.
Yeah.
But is is this really only about money? I think that's the most important question we need to ask ourselves every day.
That is just such an awesome, insightful answer, RAYNA, because, when I teach people to, create that burning desire in their lives through their goal setting, and one of the biggest things I have them decide is their why, and to dig deep on that why, because it's never about the money. It's about what they'll get from the money. And I will tell you, when you ask that question, why, numerous times, you almost always get to the fact that you just want love. Really, that's the bottom line. When you really are transparent and honest, and that's the name of your company, which is just so appropriate. But so let me ask you this: what do you think is the most common reason that people fail or give up?
Wow, that's a really good question. I believe lack in trust and confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
If you start doubting yourself, you would have very big variations from the path you want to go. Yeah. You must not doubt yourself. If you chose that path, stay on it no matter what. Mm-hmm. Exactly as Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
That's right.
And don't turn back, because you're going to go through more hell. Mm-hmm. Because God has a purpose and he's teaching you something.
Yep.
And if we are a good student, we're not going to repeat too many mistakes. But if we are not such a good student, which sometimes we're not, he just keeps teaching us.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to define it. And what doesn't, when you don't get the lesson, you get the lesson again. That's how he works.
That's it.
Let me ask you this. When you first got started, or maybe when you first took down your really big deal, how did you overcome your fear? What did you do to get past the fear? Because it's always there. Achievers call it stress, but it's fear. How did you get past that initially?
Absolutely. I believe fear, Rod, is the opposite of faith. So the more I have built up my faith, the less fear I have. Mm-hmm. Fear and faith are two opposite feelings and reactions and sets of, they're a mindset, really, faith mm-hmm. and fear. Mm-hmm. And the more you push the good faith up, the less fear you've got. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, that was the key for me, is building up my faith mindset, that I am the head and not the tail. I'm an overcomer. Mm-hmm. I am not a failure. And you're constantly telling yourself that, mm-hmm. because words are things we need to speak to ourselves, not because we're crazy. Sometimes we might be a little crazy, but it's mm-hmm. okay. Mm-hmm. But we need to speak to ourselves.
Yes.
And tell ourselves who we really want to be. Maybe we're not that today, but we want to be that. And we are telling ourselves we are an overcomer. We are victorious. Yeah. Because we won the victory already, even though we're in the fight right now.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, those self-affirmations are super important. Like anything you put the words "I am" in front of as an identity statement. I'll show you something on my wall here. I don't know if you can see it up there. It says, "I am success."
I am success.
I am the best in the world at what I do. I am a business genius. So those are I am statements, not ego. Yes. They're what I'm aspiring to be. And sometimes I will yell those things at the top of my lungs when I'm exercising in my exercise room. I used to do it running down the street. In fact, that's the question.
Same here.
Did you really? Good for you. Yep.
Same here.
Yep. Yes. And that, because it works. Those are affirmations. They get into the fiber of your being. And, like if I've got something fearful going on in my life, I will say, I am courage. And I will scream it at the top of my lungs for 15 minutes. My kids, they help me at my live events. And that's the question they get the most often. Does he really do that shit? Does he really yell that stuff? And they're like, yep, we grew up with it. But because it works, when you use those affirming statements about yourself, those are the two most powerful words. I am, I am. And people fight and die and kill over those two words. If they say I'm a great father, or I'm a great husband, or I'm a great, whatever.
Absolutely.
Right. So, well, listen, RAYNA, this has been a real treat. Is there a question you wish I would have asked you?
No, I think you covered the gamut of from A to Z, from alpha to omega.
We could talk technical aspects of multifamily. Guys, just come to my boot camp for that, for God's sakes. This is so much more important than that. 80 to 90% of your success in anything is what we just talked about, which is mindset. So, and you'll get that at my boot camp too. But the bottom line is this is why people are successful, because they live this way, they love this way, and this is, the name of RAYNA's company is Love Apartments and Investments. So, such a perfect name. Well, listen, RAYNA, it's been a real treat. Great to see you again, and I certainly hope we stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rod. I am honored. I absolutely adore you and love you. Thank you. I am just on cloud nine.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. We'll talk soon. Bye now.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345, and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.